The Verdict, a Sidebar production, hosted by Kent Myers and Mick Cornett. As a part of its traditional and continuing commitment to public and community service, Crow & Dunlevy sponsors The Verdict. Also sponsored by Delta Dental, Oklahoma Lawyers for Children, and C.H. Guernsey & Company. Each week on The Verdict, we present an objective discussion of contemporary and legal issues, topical issues that will affect Oklahomans in their daily lives. The Verdict, a Sidebar production.
And welcome to The Verdict. I'm Mick Cornett, and as our regular viewers know, I am joined by one of Oklahoma's top legal experts, Kent Myers. Kent, what do we have today?
We have quite a lineup today. We have back two of our very favorite guests, John Coyle and John Nance, not to talk about the Terry Nichols trial, which they've talked about a couple of times, but to talk about some subjects that we have not brought up on this show much in the past, but I think our viewers will be interested in. Perhaps surprisingly, cross-burning. We're going to be talking about that because that is going to be in the news, I promise you, prominently in the very near future. We're going to be talking about the lottery, which is already in the news a good bit from the candidates for public office, and we're going to be talking about gun control in the context of the recent shootings in Maryland and some of the activities in that regard. We have quite a lineup.
We better get started then. We'll be right back. John Coyle, John Nance, The Verdict.
Journal Record is pleased to be a sponsor of The Verdict. The Journal Record, since 1903, the best source of Oklahoma business news and legal information.
The Verdict is pleased to have as a sponsor C.H. Guernsey & Company, providing architectural and engineering services to clients throughout the U.S. and around the world.
American Express Tax and Business Services. We're accountants. We do taxes, business valuations, estate planning, and consulting. And we're right here in Oklahoma, working with the owners of small and medium-sized businesses. Steve Wilsey and Stuart Meyer have the resources and the experience. American Express Tax and Business Services. In Oklahoma City, the phone number is 405-843-5311.
And Blankenship has stopped at the line of scrimmage. No gain on the play. Leading it 4th and 7 on the Tiger 46-yard line. 38 seconds on the clock. The Tigers have no choice but to go. Wiggins in to do the kicking. Here's the snap. And the kick is away.
All children deserve a life of hope and love. But sometimes they experience a life of pain, neglect, and abuse.
When that happens, each child deserves all of the quality assistance and representation that can be offered in our legal system. Oklahoma Lawyers for Children has over 350 of the best attorneys and volunteers in Oklahoma County who donate their time and services to represent children. For more information, call 405-23-CHILD.
Oklahoma Lawyers for Children, helping to bring hope and love back to the lives of abused children.
St. Gregory's University has been changing the lives of people like me for 125 years. Affordable private Catholic education, balanced with dedication to community and service, makes St. Gregory special. We're extremely proud of our students' outstanding academic achievements and our nationally ranked athletic teams. It's when you help a student build a future of balance, integrity, and service that you change a life forever. St. Gregory's, a community for life.
And welcome back to The Verdict. Mick Cornett with Kent Myers is going to introduce our guests.
Very pleased to have two of our very favorite guests back to join us again. Across the table from me is the Honorable John Nance, State Representative from District
90.
90. I was going to say 99, but that was the year you were elected. Graduate of UCO, and quite frankly, Mick and John, a man who has his finger on the pulse of what the people of Oklahoma think, and we like his views about a lot of different things. Welcome back to the Verdict.
Thank you very much.
Right next to me is a friend and a colleague in the law, John Coyle, a criminal defense lawyer and a civil practitioner in the state of Oklahoma. Likewise, in a different context, familiar with what the people of Oklahoma think, because he knows how juries think, he knows what is important to them, and juries, quite frankly, are the people of Oklahoma. So they both come to a lot of common knowledge through different routes. And John Coyle, welcome back.
Thank you very much.
We're pleased to have you.
Glad to be here.
I mentioned to Mick and our guests on the opening of the show that we want to talk about cross-burning. I want to set that up just a minute because that sounds a little peculiar to be talking about on the Verdict. But the United States Supreme Court recently has accepted and is going to hear a case on cross-burning. And the issue is, should cross-burning, while it violates Virginia law and is a felony under Virginia law, should it be permitted because that Virginia law statute is unconstitutional in the sense that it violates the First Amendment against freedom of expression? Let me set up with that the further bit of information that a number of years ago the United States Supreme Court said that burning the American flag is protected expression under the First Amendment, and statutes prohibiting it are unconstitutional. I might mention that the state of Oklahoma has a statute that prohibits flag burning, and which is probably, under that case, unconstitutional. So we have an issue with even more emotion about it, perhaps even than flag burning, and that's cross burning. If you would assume for me, John Coyle, that the First Amendment is involved here on this kind of expression, which should control, the Virginia statute prohibiting it or the First Amendment?
Well, I think that the First Amendment is the cornerstone of our American way of life. The fact that I don't agree with cross-burning, and I am opposed to any forms of bigotry. Any right-thinking person in America is against it and knows it's wrong. But that doesn't mean it ought to be prohibited by law, that it ought to be a violation of our law. And as long as something like that is not directed at a single individual or a small group of individuals, but it's done as a matter of expression, it's much, much different than like a cross burned on the yard of a family to intimidate them. Certainly bigotry is wrong, but to burn a cross is a symbol of the way someone feels in America, even if we don't like that feeling. The fact that they have the right to do it or to say it, or to say things like that, is so important to not ever limit that in America.
John?
Well, Kent, the cross represents Christianity in almost all cultures, and of course, to me, a cross burning then would be something be negative as far as Christianity. But secondly, you and I talked about the illegality of someone hollering fire in a crowded area, especially say like a theater. And to me, a burning of a cross, that would be nothing. I can't think of any redeeming value for it other than to someone trying to impress, scare, or intimidate someone. So as far as I'm concerned, it's an expression that needs to be illegal.
Well, let me kind of change the subject just a little bit. Justice Scalia, one of the most very conservative justices on the Supreme Court, voted in favor of the ban or the authorization of flag burning, saying it to ban it violates the First Amendment. There is some thought that Justice Scalia will be writing the opinion on cross-burning. How do you judge that? Is our supposed conservative Supreme Court becoming more liberal?
No, I don't think they're becoming more liberal at all. I think that they take the view, which I think is the right view in the law, that individual acts such as burning a flag when they're not directed at a specific individual, or burning a cross when it's not directed against a specific individual, are governed by freedom of expression. And although I would be against cross-burning, and John Nance would be against cross-burning, that doesn't mean that our views control the views of someone else. Because when someone starts making the rules in America about what someone can say or how someone can express themselves, if it doesn't impinge on others, then everyone in our country is in great danger.
Any final thought on cross-burning before I change the subject?
No.
All right, let's change the subject.
All right.
Gun control. Very, very sad news across the country, scares a lot of people, and rightly so, about these shootings, apparently random but serial in nature, in Maryland, where there have been 6, 7, 8 people shot recently, which raises, once again, the issue of gun control. Do incidents like this, John, have any impact on your view about what is appropriate gun control? And by the way, tell our viewers what you feel like in that regard. What do you think is appropriate gun control?
Generally speaking, there are 3 categories of people I don't think should be in possession of a weapon. That would be children, people that have a mental condition, and those who have been convicted of a felony. Generally speaking, after that, I don't have a whole lot of problems with people being prepared and willing to carry a weapon under the law, depending on the state and other circumstances. As a matter of fact, having been a gun carrier for over 30 years myself, I believe more people that we have in our society who can and are willing to exercise good judgment in the use of a firearm is a deterrent to crime.
John, hold your response. We'll take a break and come back and get to it. Mick Cornett, Kent Myers, and our special guest right here on The Verdict.
We are C.H. Guernsey and Company. We provide engineering, architecture, and consulting services to clients across the nation and around the world. Our corporate headquarters are located in Oklahoma City, and we have branch offices across the country, including Tulsa. We have provided quality service to clients for nearly 75 years. At Guernsey, we believe in quality work and unconditional client satisfaction. To learn more about C.H. Guernsey and Company, log on to our website at chguernsey.com.
I enrich our cultural landscape.
I help define our quality of life.
I am one of 4,000 artists in central Oklahoma who receive
support from Allied Arts, this community's united arts organization.
I am an Allied artist.
We are so pleased to congratulate Crow and Dunleavy for their support of the arts and culture in our community and the whole state of Oklahoma. Particularly, we are pleased that they have given us the opportunity to promote the Arts Power campaign on the television show so that we may bring art and music teachers back to our elementary schools all over the state of Oklahoma. Happy anniversary, Crow Dunleavy. We are proud of you.
Mick Cornett, Kent Myers back on The Verdict. We're talking to State Representative John Nance and Attorney John Coyle. We just heard Mr. Nance's views on gun control. Now, Mr. Coyle, your time to respond.
Well, I'm concerned about the proliferation of firearms in America, and I don't think that necessarily led to the sniper events in Maryland, or those are random acts of violence by people who are obviously unbalanced.
That's right.
So no matter what laws we have, that's not going to prevent that. but there are thousands of shootings across this country every week that could be prevented by some type of tighter controls on people getting guns. And I'm not talking about just mentally ill or felons, but some that makes it hard to buy a gun and hard to buy these Saturday night specials and other guns that people can go out and get at any time. And so just to be able to go get a gun is not helping anybody in America. And I'm not talking about hunters. I'm talking about just Saturday night specials across our country. Something has to be done to limit it.
What would you do?
I think that's important.
What would you do if you could do it?
I'd get much more stringent registration, and I would ban all handguns except for a very small amount of them for people in law enforcement, for one per family, for a home protection, that sort of thing. But not to be able to just go and buy them at will.
Well, I have several weapons in my home. My wife is qualified to carry a small caliber, or not a small caliber, but a smaller weapon that I would prefer. I prefer one with a clip because you have more rounds. But you're saying one to the house. She can't shoot the one with a clip because it hurts her hand and she's scared of the bullets coming out. So there you got to look at that. And you also, I just believe that people that are qualified, that have had law enforcement background or have been through a training are entitled to protect themselves, whether they're in a parking lot where somebody's going to grab their bag and run. And if they have qualified within the state law, I think they should be allowed to carry a weapon.
Well, let me change the subject.
All right.
Let's gamble on this next subject and talk about the lottery. That's been talked about a lot. Candidates have taken positions about it. People have suggested that it's a way to solve some of our financial problems in the state. Where are you, John Coyle, on the lottery?
I think that it would be very important for the state of Oklahoma. I think it would help the state. I'm very much in favor of it because it would help education. Education is the key to Oklahoma really moving forward in this century. And without education, Oklahoma is just not going to go forward. We can't fund it with the money we've got. We're broke. And something has got to be done to help it out.
Would you earmark the funds for education or earmark the funds in any particular way?
I'd earmark the funds for education because right now we have almost the lowest teacher pay in the nation. Yeah. The schools are falling down. My daughter goes to a public school where we have lots of new buildings here in Oklahoma City with our new program, and the schools are literally, her school is falling down. It's a disgrace. How can we attract new people to Oklahoma with that kind of education system? Anything we can do to help, I'm in favor of it.
John?
Of course, I disagree with that. I think, first of all, I know we have two candidates for governor that are for the lottery and one that's not. I look at the lottery as a very poor way of financing anything, any more than I would quit my job or you'd quit your job and go to Las Vegas and anticipate winnings being able to cover your mortgage, car payments, and that sort of thing, and that's what we're talking about. But the one issue that really stands out in my mind is the fact that we have sovereign nations here. If we authorize and legalize the lottery, they are going to have a great advantage in setting up their own lottery, and they won't have to earmark a dime to the state of Oklahoma, no more than they do with tax.
Well, now you're talking about the Indian tribes.
That's correct.
All right, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
If we authorize it, as a federal agent years ago, we were hands off to all the sovereign bingo parlors and that sort of thing because they were sovereign, and federal agents could not do anything. And if we authorize and legalize the lottery, they're going to have a great advantage because they won't have to earmark their money for anything to assist the state. They will not have to follow any of our rules, and they will have a better pot because they won't have to be spending the money on anything else. That hasn't been very favorably addressed, in my opinion, in the race for the governor. Secondly, most of the states, including Texas, the one we're always throwing up here, is suffering because their lottery is not producing what they've expected, and they say it does decline as the years pass. The people find out they're just wasting their money.
What would you suggest, John Coyle, if the lottery were to become law and the funds earmarked for education? What would you expect the legislature to do insofar as its current funding Do you expect that they would cut down their current funding if there's money coming in from the lottery?
Well, I'd hope they would keep the current funding at the present low level they've got it. They don't give enough money to education as it is, so I surely would hope they don't try to cut it.
I disagree again. We have 55% of our budget goes to education. It's not the matter of the money that goes into it. We have over 500 districts in the state of Oklahoma. A larger state, the state of Florida, has only 70. We have too much administrative costs in our educational system. And something else you said about education, we educate people well. I had 2 of them go through the universities here. They married 2 university graduates. They all live in Texas. The problem is not our educational system. It's having an economy that gives them jobs in our state. And until we correct our taxing system and our wasted budget, we won't be able to attract businesses.
Do you know, for the last 15 years, the ACT test scores in Oklahoma have not gone up one single bit, not one iota on the line, where other states have increased who've spent extra money on their education system. We waste a lot of money in Oklahoma.
Should we consolidate districts?
And I think all the ideas that John has are great, and that's something we need to do, is consolidate districts. We need to figure out every way to cut the fat out of the education system and do something to give kids a first-class, best in the nation education in Oklahoma. And that's the way that Oklahoma can move forward and really well in this century.
Let me ask you a different question that I don't know whether you've thought about or not, but in the education area, I see some proposals to give merit pay to teachers who are better than other teachers.
I agree with that. It's going to be very difficult because of the unions in the strength of the unions in the educational system, and because sometimes it does become it's a partial thing, and people are going to see that, and that's going to be demoralizing. But I think our system is broken from the standpoint, and you use the word consolidation. We don't use that. We use administrative sharing. That's the more politically correct. You and I have all been around long enough to know that consolidation did work, and it needs to work. But we do have too much. We have too many of the districts in order for us to support that kind of system. I think we can have excellence in education, but we do need to streamline it and cut out the fat.
Got about 1 minute left.
Okay, 30 seconds each on one subject that we haven't talked about. Drug testing in schools. That the Tecumseh case, the Supreme Court seems to say it's okay. What do you think about it?
Well, I know the Supreme Court says it's okay. I'm opposed to it because I think we ought to trust our kids. And people learn to do the right thing by being trusted. Trust is the most important component in any society. We've lost sight of that in America.
John?
Well, I think it's okay to do that because it will...
To drug test?
Yes, to drug test, because I think it will create a safer environment. My daughter had the dog out at Putnam City, and it was not intrusive at all, but it could sniff cars and sniff people's and lockers and that sort of thing. And I think it's a deterrent. It wasn't a threat to anyone, and all it did was create a situation where we knew there was something being done to control the drug problem in the schools.
Mr. Nance, Mr. Coyle, thank you both for coming on. We've really enjoyed it. Love to have you guys back on a future show.
Thank you very much.
Kent and I'll wrap it up when we return.
In Oklahoma, there are more than 1,600 children waiting to be adopted. They're of all ages, and for many, home has been a source of pain and conflict. They've dreamed of finding a better life and a loving family. Consider adoption. For more information, call 1-877-OK-SWIFT or visit the website www.okdhs.org. Adopt. It may be the toughest job you'll ever love.
Bringing out the best in each student. That is the simple goal and tradition of Heritage Hall. The focus on the individual shapes the educational experience at Heritage Hall. Each student benefits from small classes, able, dedicated teachers, a solid academic curriculum, and exceptional co-curricular programs of athletics, arts, community service, and other activities, parental involvement, personalized counseling, and the development of responsibility, integrity, and love of learning. If you want education taught with pride, then you want Heritage Hall.
And Blankenship has stopped at the line of scrimmage. No gain on the play. Leaving it 4th and 7 on the Tiger 46-yard line. 38 seconds on the clock. The Tigers have no choice but to go for it. Wiggins in to do the kicking. Here's the snap. And the kick is away.
All children deserve a life of hope and love. But sometimes they experience a life of pain, neglect, and abuse.
When that happens, each child deserves all of the quality assistance and representation that can be offered in our legal system. Oklahoma Lawyers for Children has over 350 of the best attorneys and volunteers in Oklahoma County who donate their time and services to represent children. For more information, call 405-23-CHILD.
Oklahoma Lawyers for Children, helping to bring hope and love back to the lives of abused children.
We're back to wrap up another edition of The Verdict. Kent, some final thoughts.
Potpourri today. I looked that up. I thought it was Potpourri, but it's Potpourri, and it's a mixed collection. That's what we talked about today, a mixed collection of subjects with two guests who are really quite articulate and thoughtful, gentlemanly, but not afraid to disagree where they have differing views. We want to present to our viewers topics that are current, topics that perhaps reasonable people can differ about. And we really want to know what our viewers think. We really would like to know if there are shows that they would like to see, and they can get on our website and tell us what those are, and we'll do our best to find thoughtful, informative guests. And what issues would they like to have aired here on The Verdict? We try to anticipate what they might be and fill our chairs with interesting people. But we want to know what our viewers think.
Well, all they need to do is go to the website, and the address is www.theverdict.tv. Not .com, but .tv. Thanks again to our guests, John Coyle and John Nance. For Kent Myers, Mick Cornett. See you next time on The Verdict.